Today on We Are Teachers Helpline, we're talking about what to do when overly involved parents ask you anything from changing their child's grade to letting their child text them during class. We've all had some kind of ridiculous request. Here at We Are Teachers, we see a lot of questions and concerns around this topic. I want to start by saying that I believe parents are doing the best they can. And by that, I mean they adore their children and are doing what they think is best. I'm not into shaming anyone when it comes to parenting or teaching. That said, helicopter parenting, however well intentioned, is really tough on teachers and doesn't do children any favors. We're going to give you some tried and true tips from teachers who have been there so you can have the support you need. Let's get this episode started. Welcome to We Are Teachers Helpline. I'm your host, Kimberley Gorelik. Today's topic about helicopter parents is such a good example of why teachers need other teachers to talk and relate to. Our Helpline Facebook group at We Are Teachers gives educators a spot where they can share, get advice, and just connect with other teachers. Because let's be honest, no one except a fellow teacher can really understand what you're going through day in and day out in your own classroom. This topic about over-involved parents is a pretty common one that I see popping up in our helpline group. And you might think it's just begun recently because of phones and social media, but the truth is the term helicopter parent started in 1969 when a doctor coined the phrase. And whether you call them helicopter parents, lawnmower, or snowplow parents, teachers know what they're talking about. Today on the episode, I'm going to share real questions and scenarios from teachers who wrote into our helpline group looking for advice. And I have some awesome teachers who are going to share their tips. I've had, my own experiences with helicopter parents. I've had parents ask me if I would unpack their child's lunch and set things out in a certain way. I've had parents who have asked me if I could please put their children first in line so that they're near me and hold their child's hand while we're walking out to recess. And the weird thing about being a teacher is that we also care so much about our students in the same way that parents do. And this makes it hard not to overly accommodate kids. I think a lot of you are probably nodding along because a lot of times when we're doing it, we don't even realize it. We're opening juice boxes instead of letting kids handle that messy task. Why? Because we don't really want to clean it up. And we also don't feel like watching them clean it up inadequately. So we're not down on parents. On the plus side, we're happy that they get involved and that they show interest. But helicopter parenting makes a teacher's life harder and it doesn't really do kids any favors. And that's why we want to help. Let's take a look at our questions. What we did is find real questions in our helpline around helicopter parents. We modified some of the questions slightly to make sure we weren't sharing anything that would give people away, but we have real scenarios and advice from our teacher team. Question 1. I teach early childhood and have one parent who is constantly messaging me for details about their child. I have many other students and can't always respond to them right away. What should I do? We asked Adam Peterson, who does a lot of work in education and has his own podcast, to give us a tip.
Hey teachers, if you've ever found yourself on the receiving end of constant parent emails about a child, try this tip. I would start out every single year in my classroom sending home daily emails to my entire parent group. I'd BCC all the parents and I would let them know the specifics of what went on during the school day that day. That way, they had information of what happened, but also information to prompt questions to their child at home about what went on during the day. Now, that didn't solve every problem, but I put the ball in the parents' court. I gave them the information before they asked for it. That's my biggest tip. Push the information out before a parent has the opportunity to come ask you for that information. Now, if that still doesn't solve the problem and you've started tapering back those emails and there's still questions coming in, maybe then it's time to invite that parent in for a one-on-one meeting and ask them what specifically they'd like to know about the day or if there's specific information they'd like sent home on a regular basis without having to come to you all the time.
I love this response so much because I think as teachers, we're regularly, preempting or getting ready to figure out how children are going to respond. And that's kind of what makes teaching so hard, right? So I think extend that out. You're already good at that with kids, extend that out to parents. Question number 2. How do we convince parents that a kid's attachment to their cell phone is bad? I've recently had multiple parents get upset that I wouldn't let students respond to them on their cell phones during class. We asked Emily Wilde, who's a high school math teacher in Texas and the creator of the brand Geometry and Jokes, respond to this one and give us her tip.
Hey, so unfortunately, we don't change the minds of our parents about things that they believe, and that's okay, it's just not our job. But what we can do is enforce the rules that we have in our classroom. So, what I would do in this situation is just reply to the parent and tell them that this is the rule that we have for phones in my classroom or in our school if it's a school wide rule. Here's why. Say we don't want students to get distracted by their phone or by a classmate's phone during a lesson and get behind, so we try to keep it equal for everybody. Let them know that if they really have an emergency and need to get in contact with their child, that they're always welcome to call the office, and then the office can let us know and we can get them in contact. If they reply again, then I would copy the administrator or the principal on my reply and let the parent know that if they have any further questions about our policy, that they can contact admin, because as your job as a teacher is not to hit this point home. It's not up for discussion. You've told them the rule, and stand firm in what that is.
I love this response because I feel like, what we know about teaching and about children is that consistency and an understanding of what the rules are always works best to go back to that. I mean, sure, there are shades of gray, but in this case, sticking to the rules never hurts. Let's move on to question 3. I have a second grade student whose mom puts a lot of pressure on her. The student tells me her mom will hover while she works to point out errors and ask questions. She is now overanalyzing everything she does in class, particularly in math. What can I do to support her? We asked Hillary Statham, who's a current ESL teacher and former kindergarten teacher based in Tennessee. You can find her online and on Instagram under the name Pencils to Pigtails. Let's check out her tips.
I wanted to tell you that I totally get it. I've been teaching for a long time and I see this happen quite a bit. It's usually a well intentioned parent who puts a little bit too much pressure on their student. And so, as teachers, we just have to really encourage the child. Just tell them that grades are not everything, test scores are not everything, but it's the way to demonstrate how much they know and how much they've grown. And you just really want to encourage them. I know you mentioned that she was a little more nervous when it came to math, and so I would start there by really focusing on encouraging her there. One way I've helped my students build confidence is just to prep them by kind of practicing some of the types of questions they'll see so that they go into test feeling confident and capable. And your attitude is going to make a huge difference. And so when you show her how excited and confident in her abilities you are, that's going to really help her.
I mean, I think that's just good advice overall, right? We should always help everyone be confident in the classroom. Let's move on to question 4, which is our final question, but stay tuned after to the end because we've got a funny story to tell you as well. Progress reports went out 2 weeks ago, and I'm just now getting an email from a mom about grades. She checked the parent portal and noticed her son's grades are low. She wants me to either stay after school to tutor her son for free or sit with him during class to check out his work. She wrote, "In the future, I expect you to tell me when he's missing assignments and his grades get low." We asked Kim Lepre, who's a middle school English teacher in California and the host of the podcast Teachers Need Teachers, to give us some tips on how to manage this one.
If we come in with a little bit of grace and some empathy, even if you're not a parent, just knowing that they're just trying to do the best they can do, then that's just where they're coming from. So, in order to be constructive about this, I would definitely let the parent know that you understand their concern about their students' grades. And then I would direct them to the resources that are already available in terms of tutoring for after school help. I mean, if you want to help them and tutor them, then that's totally fine. Or if you want to do some kind of group study where you have multiple students come in and help them, those that are falling behind, that's great. And especially if you're getting paid for that, that's awesome. But instead of that, if you aren't getting paid, I would direct them to any kind of after school tutoring or other resources for other times when you are offering tutoring. Maybe you have like some kind of lunch thing or another teacher is offering tutoring, and just let them know that these are the resources that are available.
I love that, and I think that that just goes in line with what all the other teachers have been saying too, which is, when things are hard, stick to the rule and you be consistent, and you'll be able to really get through these more easily, because when you allow one parent to have something different, we all know how that goes. So, now we have one good funny story to share from Helpline as well. Here it goes. I had parent conferences last week, and the parent was really unhappy about what she heard in our conference. This isn't unusual, nor is the email she sent me afterwards. However, she copied a random person with a different ending email from a district nearby. I figured it was a friend or someone she was tagging in to advocate for her. I replied all to the email and copied my principal to loop her in. After I replied all, I got curious and Googled the person's name. It's the principal of a different school in a neighboring district with the same name as our school. She threw me under the wrong bus. I think that's so funny because that is so common where someone will try to tag someone, it'll be another parent, and people are like, "Why am I involved?" And for some reason, when you do something like that, when a parent does something like that, in the heat of the moment, they feel like totally on fire. And when they have to sort of go back and reflect once someone calls out the error, then they start to think, yeah, now other people know, how nutty I'm being. So I think that's awesome just because it reminds us to maybe take 24 hours and take a deep breath before you respond to anything. So we've had awesome advice today, and thanks for joining us. To sum up, we have three big takeaways that we hope helps you out. Takeaway one: always listen to the parents or guardians who are contacting you, but on your schedule. Takeaway two: state and restate the rules of your classroom or school. Takeaway three: stay professional, keep a record, and copy your principal. Thank you for joining me today. If you find yourself needing some extra support, you should definitely check out our We Are Teachers helpline group on Facebook. This article that we were talking about helicopter parenting, and lots of other articles about parents can be found on teachers.com. So check that out for sure. Even if you don't have a need right now, this group, We Are Teachers helpline group on Facebook, is filled with useful advice and tips. Thanks for joining us on this episode of We Are Teachers Helpline.